guys? This is the Art School Graduate Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Robinson. Today, my special guest was, let's see, how can we phrase this or frame this? He was my roommate in college. He was my teammate in college. And now he is just a phenomenal creator, designer, brand builder, Nick Brucculeri. Brother, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Jay. To talk to you again and excited to be on the podcast.
Man, I appreciate you, brother. Well, let's see. Where do we start? You're like a Swiss Army knife. You do a little bit of everything, my brother. So I'm gonna take it way back for us. Back for us. The street brand you created, Wall Street, back in college, or maybe that must have been high school when you brought it. Yeah, and I still have it. I have I think it's the WS, and it's the gray with the lime green. I think I still have that one. So, I mean, man, you started with that shirt and now you're here. So how does it feel to look back on that journey? Like, if you had a chance to revive that brand, how would you approach it differently?
It's a great question. And then whenever I look back at Wall Street, I'm like, man, that was just terrible. And I feel like whenever you look back at your designs over life, you're like, what was I thinking? But like, I really like the vision behind what I was trying to do with Wall Street. It's something I started in high school, and it progressed into making apparel for other people over time. Wall Street specifically was just me trying to express myself creatively through inspirational points in history. It was based off of stuff I was learning at the time in school, the Great Depression, the crash of 1929, and that's where Wall Street stemmed from. So, but looking back at those designs, it's just like that was my first attempt at anything, figuring out how to use Photoshop, downloading fake codes. I think you helped me with some of those over the years.
Oh yeah, I shot you a few burned copies of the Adobe Suite.
It's a whole different world now with how easy it is to design, and even AI for design. But back then it was just trial and error, pushing things around, learning how to use the tools. And I'm proud of where I started, but definitely come a long way from the mediocre designs of Wall Street.
So what was your influence on Wall Street? What influenced you? Were you a Fairfax kid? Because that was the super hype back then.
Absolutely, yeah. So much of streetwear was an influence in my life growing up. Wall Street was my outlet of the inspiration I was getting from brands like the Hundreds or Rogue Status. Those are like LA local brands, Venice, Fairfax, LA street culture, which is still alive and well today. It was surprisingly, like, people always say it's on its way out, but there's so many new brands coming on the scene. They're doing it in different ways, of course, but I think streetwear is still strong and growing. And those inspirations kind of led me to wanting to make my own apparel line in high school. Is when Wall Street started, and literally just learning things in history class is what kind of influenced my designs. And that's where Wall Street kind of stemmed from.
Okay, that's dope. So what drew you to becoming a designer in the first place? Like, at what point did you realize, you know what, this is something I think I can tap into, something I can do? Was there like a specific moment where you're like, oh yeah, I think I can do this? Or was it more of a gradual evolution where you were like, this led to this, to this, to this?
Yeah, I think it's an evolution. Like, I've always just gone through the doors that have opened for me in life. I've never been one of those person who has this like 10-year plan, this 20-year plan. Like, I'm going to be this. Every day I just wake up and I'm going to be me. I'm going to do me as best I can. And that kind of evolved into a passion for aesthetic, passion for design. I back in the days of like Tumblr, pre all this, we would have different outlets for inspiration, and just seeing things that inspired me made me want to create things myself, whether it be photography or actual like typography or design aspects. I just always was drawn to wanting to create things myself instead of like going to some other path, which I don't know what that would even been. Like, I've been doing this since high school. Literally, I've never had a different career. Design, creation, creative direction, branding has been my whole life. So I've just gone with that progression, and opportunities have continued to open up so that I still to this day, I've never been employed by anybody else. I've created all my own work, with support of many great people along the way, but it's all I know. And I've gone down this path, and you never know what the future holds either. But as it sits now, I feel like I'll always be in a creative space, creating something, trying to innovate, trying to bring beauty to the world through whatever designs I can, whether it be on merch, which what it is now, or maybe one day to a different medium.
That's dope, bro, to just think of it that way, to like, you keep wanting to bring like this beauty to whatever comes to mind, whatever creative piece comes to mind, you want to just keep creating. That's phenomenal. And I just, and then that takes me back to like the very first, I think, company you started. And I think it was down there across from the Guess warehouse down there in LA.
Yep.
And I believe it was called The Social Life. And I mean, I remember when we talked back then, I was like, how did you get I said, you, Nick, not in a sorority, not in a fraternity, get connected with, you know what? I'm gonna tap into the sorority market and see how it goes. Like, how did that little piece get started? What was that like initial pop that hit and you were like, damn, this is it?
Yeah. So for context, the Social Life was a sorority fraternity apparel brand servicing colleges all over the country by its when it got to its biggest. And that kind of just started, just like I was saying in the prior question, one opportunity opened a door and we just kind of went with it. I had moved up to Fresno with my business partner at the time, Kenny Borg, to start making merch for the campus as a whole. You know, we wanted to do merch. We didn't know we were going to get into sorority merch, but had a store on campus at Fresno State in the student union. And all of a sudden, all these girls kept coming in asking for bid day shirts, asking for event shirts. And we're like, we didn't even realize the world existed. I didn't know how big the demand was for sorority apparel. And it's massive. Every school has thousands and thousands of girls that are in sororities. And there's thousands of universities in our country, big and small, that all need merch. So we saw a gap in the market. There was no one really doing anything cool in that industry yet. There was no fashion forwards brands. There was no young takes on it. So we started the Social Life, and that brand is really what started it all for us. It's we grew to a multi-million-dollar business within a few years, and had campus reps at over 300 universities. We grew like 30 employees at the height of our run when we had our headquarters in downtown LA. It was a really fun experience, and it's kind of led me down the path that I started on today. No longer doing the Social Life. We sold that company off last year because I've kind of aged out of
college parties.
Apparel. Strangely enough, I'm at my house right now. I live a few doors down from LMU, and I'm surrounded by college kids. This is the house across the street from me is the Kappa Alpha Theta house. Like,
oh my goodness,
still in the scene a little bit, but I can't contribute to concepts or ideas when it comes to sorority life anymore. That was that aged out.
It was its season. It served its purpose. It was its season.
Like my early 20s to late 20s was as far as I could push it. Now I'm in my mid 30s and moved on to things that more align with my current passions and brands that are in the mainstream world.
Okay. So looking back, were there any like challenges you faced that helped shape your approach to future projects? Like, we know you're not with the Social Life anymore, but you are working and a part of other projects. Were there any challenges you saw in the Social Life, building of the Social Life to now?
Yeah, there's, infinite challenges that I've gone through along the way. And a lot of it stems around, people and manpower, and being able to scale, like figuring out, man, there's so much work coming in. How are we going to handle it? Who do we hire? And we still have that issue now. We got up to 30 people with the Social Life, and managing people, keeping the right people on the team, making sure the quality of work is done. Like, I wasn't the only designer at that point. I was the creative director, the lead, part of the business ownership team. So like I had all these hats to wear, and you don't, I want to do everything because I trust my quality and my output, but can't do everything if you want to scale. So people to delegate work to and ensuring they do a good job is always been one of the struggles of scaling and operating a business. It's not easy to trust every person you hire to take the same passion and interest as you have in your own brand. Like, this is my brand. It means everything to me. For other people, it's just a job at the end of the day. And I totally get that. And it's about finding those people who can treat it as a job, but also have a passion for it and put their best foot forward. And I've been lucky to find a few of those people along the way, but it's a tough thing to find. I think your sound cut out on me.
Yeah.
Yep, here, you got you.
Perfect. I'll edit that out. So we're no longer a part of the social life. Now we're on to this new venture, Merch Camp. Correct. It seems like it's a super unique business. Like, it seems like you're almost wearing 8 different hats, because it's like, if you look at what your brand is, what you're providing, and what your clients will get from you, it's like, first off, how did that begin, and what was the driving force behind this? Like, it seems like an all-in-one creative platform for someone.
Yeah, Merch Camp kind of started in tandem with the social life. At a certain point, we started getting interest from people who weren't in college life. They weren't sororities or fraternities. They were businesses. And we were like, we need to have a different brand to service different clientele. You can't have people going to the social life that want to use merch for their corporate brand or for their music artists or whatever it might be. So we started Merch Camp to kind of differentiate our services. And at this point, Merch Camp has become an agency model. We offer all these services to make it easier for other brands, other businesses to produce and fulfill and design merch. So they can focus on their strengths, and we handle the merch side. So generally, Merch Camp services clients that have merch as a secondary revenue stream, where let's say they're a music artist. A music artist's job is to focus on making music, touring, all that stuff. Have time to focus on merch. Their team doesn't even have time to focus on merch. They're there to be managers, to run the tour, to help with whatever logistics go into being a music artist. And they want to add merch as a revenue stream. They need a company like us to support that. So we can handle everything from concept to design, to the production, to the website build, to the fulfillment, to the customer support. So they can be hands off and just collect a check at the end of the month. That's basically a summary of what Merch Camp does. We engage on a variety of different levels depending on the scale and need of the client. Some people want to be more hands-on. They come to us with ready-made designs, and all we're doing is sourcing the product. Some people have to do what they want, and we have to come up with all the original concepts for them. Some people want to build an e-commerce store and sell products online. Some people just need goods delivered to their event, and then they're done with it. So we've created all these different categories of services to service the different needs that arise from different businesses.
Oh, that's interesting. So basically, it's like, if they need a marketing campaign, they could come to you.
Yep.
If they need
the least common service we offer is the marketing, because that's the most complex and expensive, but we do offer that. But generally, marketing is the most extreme service we'll offer, because our goal is to make products first and foremost. And if you're going to engage with Merch Camp, you have to engage with us on that one bit. And then the extra services we offer are to get people to engage in buying more merch. So if we're offering you the service of an e-commerce store, it's so that you'll buy merch to ship through an e-commerce store. If we're offering a design service, it's so that you'll produce the designs with us. We don't just do design and let you produce the merch elsewhere. We don't just do your website and let you do the merch elsewhere. We want the products to be the base of what we do. That's where we make our margin. That's what we enjoy the most. We're here to do the products, and anything else is a service to justify production.
Wow. That's actually is there a lot of companies that do this?
Yeah, there's a good amount actually. I've learned in recent history, and I always keep track of all my competitors out there. And
No.
crazy how much merch gets made in the world, and there's so many legit brands. And
Honestly.
we've been doing this for a long time, and I feel like we have some amazing clients, but
Honestly.
we've barely scratched the surface compared to some of the really big brands out there
And I
that
know.
do similar things to us. We do a little bit more than some agencies.
Yeah.
And some of our agencies, some of them are fully vertically integrated. They have their own factories, overseas and domestic. We used to have our own production facility, which we kind of phased out of just for cost and efficiency reasons. But, we've been lucky enough to stay in business and maintain a good clientele for, going on a decade now, basically. It's been running for my whole adult life.
Wow. So what do you love most about like working on this side of the industry now? Now you've gone, I don't want to say hands off, but you're more of facilitator.
Yep.
Like what do you love most about being on this side of facilitating, or do you even miss part of the creating aspect too?
I like being on the back end, and kind of being in the shadows at the end of the day. Most people that buy products we made don't know we made them. We're making these things for other brands. Nobody knows Merch Camp is behind the scenes. Like, people come to us, we make their products, and then they sell their products to their customer. And I'm okay with that. Like, I don't want the spotlight. I don't need the spotlight. I get satisfaction out of knowing that I helped bring a brand's ideas to life. And whether that be as simple as, helping them choose the right garments or figure out the right production methods, whether it be screen printing or embroidery or something more premium that is custom cut and sewn, or a different style method of printing, or little touches that make their brand better. And then when I see their brand be successful, it gives me that satisfaction because I know I was a part of creating that success.
Yeah.
Obviously, it requires them to engage their audience and have an audience for the product to be successful. But when I see people raving about something that we designed, it's really exciting to see. And, that's always been rewarding. So it's not about being on the front lines, people knowing we're behind something. It just matters to us that we get to support.
That's dope. So I feel like with Merch Camp, it seems like you said, your clientele is like kind of like the same people you've like been working with, and you're growing with them. And it seems like community plays a big role into shaping like your success and your brand. So my question would be, do you think apparel brands today need to focus more on building connections over just selling products, or is it just get your money, boo-boo, and get out?
Get your money, boo-boo. Yeah, I think community means everything when it comes to growing a business. There's plenty of people who might say they're just trying to get in and sell things, but that's short-lived. If you want to sustain a brand, you need to have people that are bought in. They need to love what you do, and maybe even love who you are. There's a big push for people to pull back the curtain and show who's behind the brand, because people relate to people. People don't relate to brands necessarily. They want to see who's behind it, who's creating it, who's doing the X, Y, or Z of the brand, whether it be apparel, whether it be something else. Like, they want to feel like they're a part of it. They want to feel like they know you, and that keeps them engaged. My favorite brands, like, whether I think of them as celebrities, and like, to me, like, they're like, because I watched their lives, I watched them grow up, I follow their blogs. Like, I'm just engaged in what they were doing. And, when I first met Bobby Hundreds, for example, I was like, oh man, this guy's just like, I know so much about you. He's not a famous person at all at the end of the day. He's just like a normal dude. He's not a celebrity. They're just normal guys grinding, working hard every day, bringing their passions to life. And I feel like people just want to feel like they're a part of your brand. And that's where community comes in. And people who just want to make a product to make money, there's no motivation in that for scaling or getting someone to be engaged. I'm sure you could probably make a lot of money doing that just by using like ads and stuff, just the cheap, like the Sheen models, where you just make cheap stuff, you push a lot of ads, and people go buy it one off, but they're not buying because they love your brand. They're buying because it's cheap and they want it quick.
It's $3.
Yeah, exactly. That it's not even part of the conversation. Is considered as like a real brand, but yeah, if you have a real brand, community is everything.
Mm.
I actually have my own brand. I'm wearing a hat called Community Member.
Community Member, yes.
This is a brand we created under Merch Camp to connect all of our clients. Like, we serve so many different industries and types of people, and we consider that our community. But none of those people know that they're our clients together. Like, client A doesn't know client B, doesn't know client C, all work with Merch Camp. And we created Community Member to make connections between our audiences. And every year we drop a line of merch under Community Member, which is our like in-house retail brand, and we gift it to all of our clients. It's kind of like a thank you for the business they've sent us and to showcase our capabilities and products we can make. So Community Member exists to gift our community with things that we think they'll like and might inspire them to make products, inspire them from other brands that we've worked with. If they see that we made a cool tote bag for XYZ company, maybe they'll want to do it for their company. And inspires each other cross category through the method of community.
So what made this brand happen? Community Member. What happened for you to be like, you know what, we need to connect all of these under this house right here? What happened there for that to drive?
I mean, it was mainly the thought was that we're doing all these things for people and nobody knows it. And it's not about like the public knowing it, but knowing that we have the capability of making a nice jacket. And we made this jacket, let's say for the Clippers or something. And we have another company that wants products, but they don't know about those products. And if we bring the community of products we've made from other clients into the fold and let them see, that it'll inspire them to make other products, so that they don't have to be coming up with their own ideas, and they can get inspired from other brands we've worked with, and not necessarily steal ideas from other clients, but get inspired by the different product variations we can make. So that's kind of where the community concept came into play, and we just wanted to kind of give back to our clients and even our friends and family. Like Community Member, I give this stuff out all day, every day to anybody who wants it. It exists to gift. It exists to bring people together, and exists so that if you see somebody on the street wearing a Community Member hat or a Community Member shirt, you know that they're somehow connected to the community that you're a part of. We want people to feel that and be like, hey, I know that brand. I know what's behind that, and I know that, you know, they're doing cool things to bring people together.
Man, that's dope. That's super powerful to have something like that, where it was like, we need to let people know we really care about them. So we're going to show everybody what we're doing. It's like you said, being transparent earlier. You're like, let them see what you're doing. Let them know what you're doing. Yeah. That's dope, brother. Man,
do you have a Community Member care package? I feel like we haven't talked in a while. I feel bad if I haven't sent you stuff. I need to shoot you.
No, I don't think I do. I'd rock it in a heartbeat. I support all my friends. Whatever they come up with, I'm like, yeah, throw it on. Let me get it. I'll wear it to school.
We're dropping more stuff this fall, and I'll make sure to hit you up and leave you a nice care package.
Oh man, I appreciate that. I need, because my thing is like, in school, I wear my graphic tees, all of them. Like, I have so many, because it's like, I teach graphic design. Why not wear graphic tees? So all the time I'm wearing them. Like, I'm even wearing one now. This is one of my students that I taught. He made his own brand, and he was like, hey, can you come see my little pop-up? And so I was so excited to like just support people. I love that. I love supporting people that are doing dope things.
That's all.
So from your experience, what is one thing that designers, because I'm gonna need you to take the business hat off and put the designer hat on. So what's one thing new designers overlook when trying to break into the apparel industries? Because you're not at a decade. You almost are at a decade, right, in this business?
Well, I guess you could say more than, because I started Wall Street in high school. I'm 35. I don't know how old. I'm 36 or something. I'm thinking 35 or 36. 35, 36 October. So I basically started making my own tees in high school, and the real business kind of was founded in like 2012, I think.
Okay.
But Merch Camp was kind of formed in 2017. So, technically the social life has it was founded 12 years ago, and Merch
Okay.
Camp founded, 7. So definitely over a decade in the merch game.
So what would your advice be, or what are like some things new designers overlook when trying to break into this apparel business?
I would say it's important to find a sense of self and authenticity as a designer, and don't try and be someone you're not. It's okay to just be who you are, and that's what people are going to gravitate towards the most. Like, it's okay to take inspiration from other designers, but if you're just trying to do exactly what they did, it's not going to stand out. It's not going to make a difference as much as it would be if you were authentic to being a sum of all your inspirations. Like, I'm inspired by so many things, and you can see how those things come out in my designs. It's like, it's not one way or another. It's a combination of the world I grew up in, the people that I grew up with, and the city I live in, and the things I take inspiration from. I think any designer should look within before they try and do something just because it feels cool, or just because they want to make money or something. And it may take time, but there's no shortcut to success. And as long as you're being authentic to what you want to do and what you want to create, you're going to find happiness. And if above all else, happiness probably beats success. I would say happiness is success. So working in a direction that's authentic to you and something that you want to do, not just to be cool or to look cool.
I think everybody should know that as a creative. Just be authentic.
Yeah.
Don't try to copy or mimic. That can lead to a lot of issues internally and publicly. If someone's like, hey, you're copying my style, here's that cease and desist. Very quick. So what would you say is the one big common mistake or misconception that you see when people start out? Just give me the one.
That they think it's going to be easy. I've had so many brands come to me. They want the fast track to success. You can't just like launch a brand and expect everyone to flock to it. They're like, oh, I have an idea. Okay, everyone has an idea. You got to work at that idea. It takes years, maybe decades for your idea to come to life. Like, you got to keep grinding. And success doesn't happen overnight unless you get lucky. Like, it does happen overnight for sure. But like, especially in the world of social media, you can accelerate the process. But to gain an audience, to gain interest, you got to just keep at it and not like, culture has become lazy to an extent. People are thinking like, oh, you see this person doing it and this person doing it, and oh, they're super successful, they're super rich, they're super famous, and you just think you can do that overnight. There's hard work into that. There's some luck for some of those people, but behind the scenes, people who are doing big things worked hard to get there, and they didn't stop, and they're still going. So just don't expect there's a fast track to success. Put in the work and you'll be rewarded.
Wow. So has there ever been a moment during this whole process of these different businesses you're growing and creating, has there ever been a moment where you had to stop and think like, oh my God, I never saw that coming? Has that ever happened to you?
Oh, so many times. I would say there's this thing in science called Murphy's Law, which means anything that can happen will happen. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. It's half of my week still to this day. Every week is putting out fires I wasn't expecting to happen. So there's so many details in operating a business, and from the business side down to the design side, there's so many things that can go wrong in making a product. There's so many little details that have to be done right. There's so many things you might not expect to go wrong, from quality control to fabrics changing color to inks not mixing the way you expect, or miscommunications on color matching, or a long variety of things. But the biggest thing is understanding that things are gonna go wrong. It's about how you react to things going wrong. Keep a level head, and I've just gotten used to trying to not let it stress me out, because things are gonna go wrong. You just got to take it in stride and just be like, this is part of the process, and make corrections and keep moving.
Dang. I wish Murphy's Law didn't exist. I wish Murphy should have been asleep during this time. He shouldn't have made that law.
I mean, that Murphy's Law can be seen in a good way too, though. Anything that can go right will go right, technically. So anything that can happen will happen. All possibilities are possible.
Well, so this is interesting to me because I've kind of seen, being a professor and being a high school teacher, I've seen trends come back from when we were in school and stuff we used to do. So with the apparel industry like constantly evolving and consumer behaviors are starting to like tweak back to when we were in school, how do you see the future of apparel design and brand marketing shifting in like the next 5 to 10 years? How do you see those two things happening?
Great question. I would say it's getting a little easier. The barriers to entry are less than what they once were. Fashion is at everyone's fingertips now. There's so much content for inspiration. There's so many resources to design things. There's so many resources to make products. So I think more people are getting into it. Back when I started my brand, it's not everyone and their mom wasn't starting a brand. Everyone and their mom couldn't make t-shirts. Everyone and their mom couldn't launch a store. Like there's so many tools now to help you build websites more easily, to help you design products more easily. And I think what it's going to do is increase the amount of people participating in the market and narrow and make people stand out that are really doing something special, because so many people are going to do it. Everyone wants to have their own brand. It's like a fun thing to do. It's the people who are going to stick with it or have a community around it that are going to find success and be able to prey on trends or create the trends. And I know you were talking about like the recycling of trends and seeing things come back from when we were in high school or even younger. It's one of those things that I think every generation starts to see 2 decades ago's styles come back into play. Like when we were in high school, people were kind of dressing like they were from the 60s. And now that we're, in the 2020s, people are dressing like they're from the 90s. And it's one of those things that fashion is cyclical, but it's also cyclical with an added flair of the new generation, what the youth are doing. And I love kind of trying to do my best to stay up to date on what the youth is doing and trying not to become aged out. Aging is a weird thing. It's like, I still feel young. I still think young, but like we're old. We're not old, but like we're in our mid 30s and trying to act
at the party.
A 20-year-old thinks is cool. And do I know what's cool? I probably don't. Like, what are the words? What are the things? What do people do at parties? What do people like in design? Like seeing certain fashion things and being like, man, that looks ugly, but everyone in that generation loves
is wearing it. Yeah,
exactly. So, trying to keep your tastes up to date with the previous generations. It's something you just got to stay in touch with, I guess, social media and trends.
So for you to do that, knowing that you create, you do cut and sew, you do prints, you do everything. Where do you find your taste coming from? Is it through social, or is it even with, I remember it was the big rave back in the early 2000s. Do you remember Agenda and the Magic trade shows that used to happen in Las Vegas? Like, is that where you're going to get it? Like, are those even relevant now? Because I remember when I was following like Nikki Diamonds and the Hundreds and like Supreme and all those like Fairfax spots, it was like, if they were going to Agenda, it was like you had to find a way to get to Vegas. So now, how do you see that?
I think those things still have a place and are still valuable, but it's more for like networking at the end of the day, because those existed when the world was less connected. At this point, we're all connected at any moment, and you can get catalogs, you can get live showroom visits. Like, it's so digital, the way you can communicate. It definitely helps going to those shows. And every time I go to one of those trade shows, I get inspired by all the things that people are doing. But I definitely don't think those trade shows are growing, because there's so much access to that information in the digital world. Access to catalogs, access to what resources you could find at the Magic trade show, which is like a place to find factories and textiles and stuff. Obviously, seeing things in person and meeting with people is going to be your biggest success. Most people in this industry are going to work with people that are their friends or that they communicate them, not people just trying to use them over the phone, like taking them out to lunch, hanging out, like spending time, quality time with any of your vendors is going to increase their output and their willingness to do things for you. So I still think it's important to have those in-person events. But I think in the streetwear side of things, it's probably slipped a little, but I could just be out of the loop on it. I haven't been to Agenda in a few years. I go to the industry trade shows like ISS, where you learn about new print technologies or new blanks, because those apply more to me. Like I'm sourcing on the back end stuff, whereas Agenda is on the retail side, where people are sourcing products for their retail stores, and that's not what do.
So do you think this will still matter in the future? Like, what do you think will matter more in the future, or are they both kind of on the same even playing field? Creativity or business? Which one do you think will matter more in the future?
I think the future's moving more towards creativity. Like the people who are more creative will find a way to innovate in business. And the creativity will lead the business decisions versus the other way around.
So for you, when you're, let's say, hiring someone or looking for a new person to come work with you, what is it that you look for? Is it you look for their business mind, or do you specifically think like, well, I got the business mind, I need to hire somebody specifically for this?
Yeah, I look at work ethic at the end of the day. That's probably the biggest thing. You can be creative or you can have a good head for business, but if you're not a hard worker, that means a lot. Depending on what you're hiring for, obviously being as creative is important if you're being hired for a creative role. But you want to find people that are grinders, that aren't afraid to put in the extra work to get the job done, and that love to hustle, and they don't take shortcuts. They have good attention to detail. Like attention to detail is a huge thing, especially in our industry. You need to pay attention to all the little details, dotting your I's and crossing your T's, so that you can ensure a product gets made correctly or a design gets done to the expectations of the customer. So work ethic is the main thing I look at overall.
So your work ethic. So now you have all these pieces lined up. You have all these pieces put together. How do you work on like sustainability with a brand? Like how do you work on something like that? Because it's like we all understand like they're pushing for a lot of these brands to be more responsible about like less waste and your footprint and all that. So like, how do you work on, I guess, in this fast fashion, how do you work on being more sustainable?
It's a good question. And that often comes down to the demands of our clients. At the end of the day, we're here to service the vision our clients want for a product. And if they're seeking sustainability, we'll find sustainable options. But a lot of time, the issue with sustainability is simply cost for certain people. Brands aren't willing to pay for it. We would love to do it, and we always suggest it. But let's say a recycled organic cotton sweatshirt is more than double the price of a normal, not recycled cotton sweatshirt. And where things are made, made in LA is more expensive. Doesn't necessarily mean it's more sustainable. Like, what I care about is making sure that the factories we're using and the people that work with us are getting fair wages. They're in good working conditions and treated well. There's so many fast fashion brands that are using legit cheap labor that probably isn't treated well. We have really close relationships with our vendors domestically and our vendors overseas to see and know that like they're happy in what they do. They get compensated for what they do, and it's not like some sweatshop somewhere. And that's where I think sustainability starts. That's not necessarily like eco-sustainability, but it's the sustainability of humans. That's something we can control, that everyone can control, is just making sure you're sourcing things from ethical places. When it comes down to the actual materials, the natural byproduct, unfortunately, of apparel production is there's a good amount of waste. but it's about mitigating that waste. But that comes down to the true manufacturers. So we're just the agency. We're sourcing from people, and we try and source from people that recycle their cut garments and they turn them into other garments, or we use less plastic. But at the end of the day, like, most shirts need to come in a poly bag, which is plastic, to stay clean. When you're shipping things across the country, across the sea, sitting in a warehouse, like, if you don't use protection around your products gets dirty. Yeah. So it's one of those things. It's like a double-edged sword. There's a lot to hopefully improve upon, and there's a lot of people doing new things in the space. It's just a little too expensive currently, for the market. If you have to double the cost of your shirts, are people going to buy them, or do they want to? You have to get the consumer to care more about sustainability to get the products to be more sustainable. And certain consumers care about it, but most people aren't willing to pay for the quality,
the upsell of it.
Yeah. Yes.
People
they're cheap stuff. People still want Zara. They still want H&M. They still want Forever 21. Like, it's fast fashion. It's easy. Most people don't have a lot of money at the end of the day, or they haven't been educated on sustainability to the point where they think it's a true threat. So we basically just have to serve the market, because we're not on the customer facing side. We're serving our businesses, and what they do, their customers, is kind of up to them.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. 'Cause you hear a lot about it, and then it's just like, there's good and bad on both sides, but it's just like, I think what you said is providing that service to your customer to make them happy is kind of like the biggest thing, because you've built this community. So in a community, when everybody's happy, you have a good functioning community. But if you have one person bad, and that person that's unhappy or bad goes to the neighbor and tells them, then you start spreading, and it's horrible, man. It's not a good look. So I'm just curious, what are some of your, I would say, influences when it comes to the actual creativeness of it?
That's a great question. It's been a while since I've targeted one individual or with a person, and I used to resonate strongly with Kanye, as many of us did, but he's kind of flown off the bus a little bit. But what I do respect about him is he's just truly creative. He's ignorant, and ignorance is creativity at the end of the day. You're just like, you're doing whatever your brain comes up with and just throwing it at the wall and seeing what sticks. And I still love that about him. He does some stupid thing, says some wrong things. It's not the best person to influence people anymore, but I respect ignorant creativity, people who are blindly creating and not letting the world tell them you have to be this way, you have to do this. Like, don't pigeonhole me into a way of living. Don't tell me there's one way to design. So I try and be my own rebel, and I just try and do what I want to do. While I am influenced by content as a whole, I don't think there's any one individual person that I'm looking at for creative influence. There's just a lot on social media that inspires me, and it's usually just random content here and there. And a lot of just inspiration from the world I live in. I get inspired by being outdoors sometimes. Sometimes I'll go for a walk in the morning, and I'll look up at the world, literally just look up at the world, and that inspires me. It's like, dang, when you think about Earth and everything, this is kind of, you're just I'm inspired just by life. How beautiful is the sunset? How beautiful is the sunrise? I'm inspired by the world I live in, the city I live in, the things I see around me. I'm inspired by my environment. I'm inspired by my community, and inspired by individual people around me. You actually played a good influence in my life in college. You were doing things differently. You helped me, learn new things in design, and we became good friends through that love for design and sport. And just being inspired by your peers. And I don't need to look to some famous person to inspire me like Kanye West. I need to look to the people around me and surround myself with people that are an inspiration. And that necessarily doesn't always feed design aesthetic, but it feeds the recharging of my creativity, They they might not have anything to do with design, but they're still inspiring me, and that helps me with my ability to create.
Yeah, man. Man, it was fun. In college, working with you was fun because it was always like, yo, Jay, how do you do this? And I was like, oh, this is it. Show this shortcut. And you was like, sheesh, I'm about to start making stuff. No, I remember that, man. But no, those are, I agree with you on that creative front because I'm the same way. Being a graphic designer, being a professor, being an artist, I find myself, I have to disconnect sometimes because it's like you can get a lot from technology, but a lot of times, like even in travel, when me and my wife go out, I go to like art galleries, I go to bookstores because I just want to see what's like they always said, you want to hide good information, put it in a book. Like I go see what's in these books that are coming out, what this person is saying about typography, what is this one saying about the latest things in tech and design. And so I'm with that. And I love walks. I love to go people watching because sometimes I'm like, that is interesting. That is, but it's that disconnect that I thoroughly enjoy. So let me ask you this. With everything going the technology based, how do you feel about AI stepping into this realm of marketing, design, creating? Like, how do you feel about it?
So it's mind blowing. It's I've engaged with AI in the recent year where like I've tried to use the Adobe Firefly, which is their AI design tool. You type in something and like it brings it to life. It's insane. And you can filter it, be a million different styles of design. And like once you learn how to use the tool, the things it can output, it's mind boggling. You could type in, think of anything you want. You want like, I want a cow riding a surfboard in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, eating a pizza.
8 different options.
Find that by any means. It would spit out that exact image as your brain visualizes it. And that's how AI is. Like you can think of what I just spoke out, a cow riding a surfboard in a wave eating a pizza. You can picture that in your head, right?
Yeah.
AI can bring it to life. Like think about how much work, if I asked you to design that back in the day pre-AI, it would take so much more work. AI can just spit it out. And obviously there's limitations to what it can do now. And that's just on the design side, but like the actual intelligence and information side of AI, ChatGPT, the things that system does, it's like a human. Like my girlfriend has conversations with it all the time. She like references so much, learns so much. Like it's actually like really good. It's like super intelligent. It doesn't feel like fake. It's not giving wrong answers. It has a personality. It has a tone.
Right.
And it's like cool and scary. It's like, this is just the tip. What's this gonna become? I mean, I'm excited.
It's the new Siri.
Yeah.
It's the new Siri. Like I feel like when Siri,
nothing compared to Siri's like she's got no competition with ChatGPT. Like ChatGPT is like a legit brain that's pulling every resource that ever existed somehow. And I'm impressed by whoever built it or how much people are behind it or if it has a mind of its own at this point. Like how is it going to scale just because it's been programmed to be a certain way? It's programmed to infinitely learn on its own.
Yep.
Like what are the limitations there? And you just start thinking to all these sci-fi movies and what could happen.
You're like, this might be the real life Terminator. We might be in the next, maybe when we're 60 or 70, living in a matrix real quick. We don't know.
It escalated so quickly. Like it's only been around for like publicly, like using stuff for like 2 years at most. I feel like I might be wrong on that, but think about like
there was a beta of it.
Because stuff accelerates quick. Like when we were, let's say in middle school, like what phone were you holding? You had a Nokia with the green screen and snake on it, right?
Yep.
In a 20-year period, 20 years is not a lot of time. You now have the most advanced piece of technology in your hand at all times. It can do anything.
The internet in my hand.
You have the internet. You have artificial intelligence in your hand. And that's just over 20 years. So what 20 years from now will AI be? It's almost unimaginable. Like it's going to be wild. Technology is accelerating like that. And we got to keep up. Like learning how to use AI, like going back to design, designers are going to have to understand how to use AI to support their abilities so that they don't get replaced by AI. So using it as a tool, not a crutch, understanding that AI can be your friend, and using it to help like I've used it maybe on like 5 projects. I'm still like testing the waters there, but it helps me do things a little more quickly if it's something that I might know how to illustrate or I might need help visualizing. And then I like export what it did and I edit it up to what I want to make it in the end. But figuring out how to use AI as your friend is going to be pretty much part of every industry, every job, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, a designer. Like AI is there to make your life easier and hopefully not be a shortcut and not be a crutch, but be like a support tool.
So you're not scared of it. You embrace it.
I mean, I embrace it without a doubt. There's no not embracing it, and I'm hopeful that it doesn't turn into some Terminator sci-fi movie. At the end of the day, Murphy's Law.
Oh God, Murphy again.
Can't happen. It will happen.
Yeah, but you know what I find myself? Like I had a good conversation with one of my friends, and he even said it. I said, you know what's crazy? There's going to come a time where people can get a degree in AI prompting, depending on what field you want to be in. And I was like, my son or daughter may be like, Dad, I'm getting a degree in AI prompting. And I'm not even going to be mad because I'm going to be like, yeah, that's legit because I've used AI and I'm writing down my prompts and what I got from it. So it's like, I'm doing my own note taking on a Google Doc. It's like, it just says, Chat GPT AI prompt, and this is what I got. If it's an image, if it's like a saying, if it's like a breakdown of something, I'm saving it because it's like, I want to know if I type this in 2 months later, will I get the same one or will it be more refined?
Yeah, learning how to speak to AI is going to be a skill set. It's like,
oh yeah,
kind of like using Google. Like certain people just suck at Googling. Certain people, I can find something in 2 seconds. Some people might take them 2 years to find it. Like knowing what question to ask Google to get the right answer. Knowing what questions to ask Chat GPT to get the right answer, knowing what prompt to type in to get the right design, that's going to be a skill. How to communicate, how does AI read how you communicate?
Right.
That's going to be a skill set. Like it's going to be something that some people might be naturally good at, naturally better than others at, or that people learn how to do better.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Man. So the man that wears many hats, let's talk about how do you find time for you? Like, how do you incorporate Nick back into this schedule of juggling and business and community and having a girlfriend and doing life? How do you find time to disconnect and make sure that you always have time for you?
You know, it's something I did a poor job of in the early years of my business, and over the past 4 years or so, I've figured out how to find that balance, and it really comes down to being healthy. Like it's unhealthy to just not give yourself space to take care of yourself, not giving yourself the time to work out, to eat healthy, to get proper sleep. Those things are so important for productivity. If you're not eating well, you're not working out, and you're not sleeping, your creativity is going to go down with it. So I've gotten to the point where I've kind of set boundaries with my work hours, and I still push those boundaries a little bit. Just kind of have so much to do. It's been a crazy fall for me, and like we're growing a lot, and the team is small, so like I'll still come out and work after dinner sometimes, but I try not to, and I'll be like, they can wait till tomorrow. So I used to work till like midnight and stuff, and now like I cut work off hard at usually 6. Like that's my normal cutoff. But like it's been busy, so I'll go eat dinner at 6:30, come back, work till 9, and that's the dead stop because I gotta go to bed at 9:30, 10. I'm waking up at 5:30 every day, and that's for me. So at 5:30, I wake up, I go to the gym, I work out 7 days a week. I train pretty hard. I've prioritized my health over all else because my health is important.
You only get one.
Yeah, you only get one life, and I got overweight at a certain point after college because I was just married to work, and that was all I was doing. Stopped working out altogether. Like I went from being a college football player to a businessman, and then just operating and trying to grow a business, and just went from all this balance and training to I'm just at a desk all day, every day, fast food and all this, and that just had to stop. And I still have conflicts between where my work life ends and where my personal life begins because it is my business at the end of the day. So I'm still when I'm always available at the end of the day for my team, for my production facilities. Like I'm getting, like it's 7 o'clock right now. It's 10 a.m. in China, and my Chinese people are going to be messaging me right now. So like I have to be on the hook just to see progress sometimes, but I know when to cut it off at this point. And I go in, enjoy dinner, enjoy a TV show with my girl, and we do that every night. And then we got 2 dogs that keep me happy, and having puppies in my life is a big comfort.
How's Dino?
He's good. We got him a little brother. Surprisingly, coincidentally, tomorrow morning we're taking his little brother Buck to get neutered. Poor guy.
It's probably going to give Denim a break.
Yeah. Puppies are so wild. This Buck, the dog's name is Buck, and he goes buck wild all the time.
Yeah, I remember when you got Denim, and I brought my little dog over, and Denim was a puppy, and my girl was just sitting up on the couch looking at him like, what is wrong with you? But I bet you. Yeah. So I know you mentioned like you're physically getting back into it. So like you said, you went from a football player, and I notice now you're heavy. Well, yeah, you're heavy into boxing. So how do these like physical and mental challenges influence your approach to life? Because it's like boxing is very mental, where you have to think or else you're going to get hit. Yep. So it's like, and football was the same way. You have to think or you're going to get hit. So it's like, how do you manage that? How was the transition for football to boxing for you?
Yeah, I've always loved a sport that keeps my mind occupied. If you're going to do fitness, it's like, it's much funner than going for a run to me. Like, I don't want to sit there with my thoughts just running or doing whatever you might do at the gym, which I still go to the gym, but like boxing has been so engaging for me because I feel like I'm constantly learning. You're constantly reacting. You're constantly learning these things. There's so many ways to get punched or to throw a punch. I train boxing 3 days a week with a great group here and a great trainer in LA. And it's really like my meditation in the morning. It's like I wake up, go to that, and it's my way to like refresh my brain. Like, it keeps you engaged, and it goes by quick, and it's a great workout. So
do you think staying active helps you stay creative too?
Yeah, for sure. I've noticed like it hasn't been in recent history. I've been training pretty much 6 to 7 days a week for the past 2 years now. Like I've been going hard, but I know there were stretches where like if I wasn't working out, it breeds laziness. Laziness breeds laziness, and if you skip a workout, it'll lead to you skipping another workout. It'll lead to you skipping another. Like once slippery slope, and I've realized like you just got to make promises and keep promises to yourself the same way you would make promises to a friend. Like if you tell yourself you're gonna to do something, get up and do it. If you go to bed at night, tell yourself you're gonna wake up in the morning. If your alarm goes off, don't snooze it. Like I like the discipline aspect of that, like pushing myself to be disciplined, and not so many people just take the easy way out. If their alarm goes off and they don't want to do it, they just don't do it, and that's fine at the end of the day. I'm not judging that, but like you can push yourself way harder than you think at the end of the day.
Definitely,
getting used to pushing yourself makes it easy, because like sometimes I don't want to get up, but as soon as I'm done with that workout, I'm like,
you feel great.
I feel great. So like you just got to get used to that feeling and remember it, so that when you have that doubt in your mind that like I don't want to do this, I'm not going to work hard today,
with it,
you like remember the end goal. You're going to feel better that you worked for. So
that dopamine hit after the end of it.
Get used to that. Create habits, whether it be fitness or eating, like creating habits that keep you accountable to yourself. Is that's I've learned to do, and it's been a journey to get to where I am for my balancing of health and fitness and eating right.
That's good.
I'm loving life right now. It's really good.
That's good. Well, brother, I don't want to keep you too long, but can you just give us one key mindset or strategy to your success that you want to pass on?
I was thinking about like a quote that I have up in my my bathroom that I see every morning when I wake up and take a piss, and I read it pretty much every day. And it's a quote from Kobe Bryant, who we all know and love. I have it pulled up. I want to read it. He says, you guys know that if you do the work, you work hard enough, dreams come true. You know that. We all know that. Those times when you get up early and you work hard, those times when you stay up late and you work hard, those times when you don't feel like working, you're too tired and you don't want to push yourself, you do it anyway. That is the dream. That's the dream. It's not the destination. It's the journey. If you guys can understand that, what you'll see is that you won't accomplish your dreams. Your dreams won't come true. Something greater will.
And
so, that right there.
That's powerful.
At its best, like people always talk about living the dream. It's not about the dream. You can dream all you want, but if you work hard, something greater than your dreams will come true. And I have goals and aspirations, and I don't know what my dreams are going to be. I don't know what I'm going to get to in life, but I know that if I work hard, something greater than what I want to happen will happen.
Will happen. Yeah.
And what that's going to be, I don't know, but I'm just going to keep working and see what life brings me. You just work hard and you'll be rewarded. I think that's kind of my belief. So hard work is everything, and don't be afraid to push yourself. And whether it be in the creative space, whether it be in any other field, hard work is a lifelong process and a lifelong reward.
Yes. Well, you guys, thank you so much for listening today. My name is Justin Robinson. My guest here is Nick Brucculeri. And thank you for listening to the Art School Graduates. We'll catch you next time. Peace.